a singer sings, right? A player, like a cricketer plays cricket, right? So like I want to be an entrepreneur and I enjoy what I do, like as a process, as an input daily basis, right? So, but idea was never to build a personal brand. चलो ऐसा करते हैं. So, ideology was never कि personal brand करेंगे तो Wind को फायदा होगा. It sort of was a byproduct. I mean, a great byproduct. But the starting point was कि do I understand my users more? Like, can I understand them better? Can I help them
Right.
better? And
Right.
can I, whatever learning is there, I will eventually apply at Winthrop. Was the idea.
Hi everyone and welcome to a fresh new episode of BehenCode. It's been a minute, but we're back here. And today with me on the show is Ajinkya Kulkarni. He's a 2x entrepreneur. He's built Credit Period in the past, which got acquired by Flexi Loans. And right now, he's been building Winthrop. Now, this is his formal introduction. Informally, he's my ex-colleague, my fellow foodie who ditches me on Misal Pav meetings in Bangalore, and also a LinkedIn influencer now. So, hi Ajinkya, thank you for doing this and welcome on BehenCode. I'm super excited that you're doing this.
Yes, pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, so we've been talking about doing this for the last 1 year, I think, and then we've been missing this and also Misal Pav.
Yes, we have been talking, and sorry for ditching you for Mr. Pav. Hope to catch up soon in person.
You tell me when you're in Bombay, or I'll tell you when I'm back in Bangalore, right? So yeah, so Ajinkya, every time I see you, I do think of you as this person who's so sorted in his head. Like how I think of you is that you have flowcharts for everything in your head. If this yes, okay, do this. If this yes, no, do this. Like how do you have so much of clarity in your thinking, right? Like I want to get into that, and then we'll get into what we're going to talk about.
I think like I'm good at building perceptions. But obviously, I mean, I made mistakes, and some of the mistakes I heavily paid for. One of this was not thinking through, and so it taught me a lesson that I have to think through well. So I make sure that I have thought through before taking any decision, or and probably that's why it reflects, right? So these are basic. Like I now thinking as a skill set. It is not something that you need to be born about. You can learn it, like design skill, like coding. You can learn how to think, right? There are enough resources available, and one should do it, obviously. Like I was fortunate I could pick it up on it, and like some basic mental models have made improve my thinking, but I know far better thinkers than me, right? So
Wow.
it's just matter of perception, I think.
Okay, sure. So, here's how I struggle with thinking, right? So I can think, right? But I always struggle that whether I'm thinking, the thinking process is correct or no. Is there like any validation for it, right? So what's that one thinking model that you think works for you? Like you said that, you failed at something and then you worked on developing this, right? So, would you be sharing something about that?
Yeah, I mean, like I generally ask everyone who asks me about it is like refer these mental models or Fernam Street, very good resource, and try to implement them, right? And as you implement them more, you'll fail sometimes. You will learn where you committed mistake, and you'll start developing that judgment, because that quality of thinking is very subjective, right? I mean, but you have to like that's output. You have to focus on input, right? And that comes from continuous implementation, and that will improve the judgment. And at some point of time, you'll start knowing whether you're thinking through not, what are the lacunas, etc. So if your feedback loop is stronger, and your inputs are, you keep at it on the input side, the quality output will eventually fall in place.
That's very interesting. So I've read the mental models by Shane Parrish, right? And the one that works for me is like I used to always think first order thinking, like what am I benefiting in the short term, right? And I realized in the longer run I was losing, and then I started using the second order thinking, right? So that and that works incredibly well for me. That taught me the value of delayed gratification, right? Is there anything in specific like that has changed you or impacted you deeply?
I think, there's like, I don't look at one particular, like I had this habit of looking that like human generally want to believe that something small creates like improportionate impact. And that sounds like a very nice story, but I think like all mental models are useful. Use it, like these are tools, right? I'm not fan of any tool. Whatever is useful, I will use it, right? Whether it is first principle, second order, or anything else, inversion, pre-mortem, there are so many of them now, right?
Right.
But all of them are useful in some scenario or not, right?
Got it. So you use like a mix of it, right? Got it.
Yes, and that should be it, right? Like
Right. Right.
that should be how it should be done.
Yeah. Super. So, Ajinkya, I have a lot of very intelligent questions and I have a lot of dumb questions, but I'll start with the dumb ones. First things first, like when you've already built a business and you sold it to someone, right? Like, look, I'm not an entrepreneur, right? But this question always, stays with me. That, okay, imagine like I've built a business, I've made the money that I want to make, right? So then what is that motivation that you want to do it again for the second time, right? Because you built your business in the past, you've sold it to flexi loans, and so what inspired you to create Ventel?
Sure. I mean, one thing is I didn't make much money in the previous business. That's thing one. But I don't think money is an important factor. I think like this is extension, right? Even if I have to exit this business, I'll be doing another business because that's how like a singer sings, right? A player, like a cricketer plays cricket, right? So like I want to be an entrepreneur and I enjoy what I do, like as a process, as an input daily basis. So that's why I do it, right? Very like, even if I have to exit this business, I'll start another business, or like hopefully I don't have to exit this business. I'll run this for 15, 20, probably 50 years, who knows.
Brilliant. And so what you're basically saying is that you love the process of building things up from the scratch, right? The whole journey of building a business up, and that's what you want to continuously do.
Yes, and especially the uncertainty that comes between like I kind of enjoy that kind of dynamic environment, and it suits my biological makeup per se, if you can say, and that is really helpful. I enjoy, like I am happy. That's it.
Got it. Got it. So now let's come to Wind12 and what you're doing there, right? But before we deep dive into how you built the business up, can you very simply explain what is it that you're trying to do at Wind12?
Sure. So we are basically trying to bring, this is an investment product. So we are basically trying to bring investment opportunities that give you higher than FD return, but are less risky than equities. If you look at retail investors today, they only have FDs as access or equities, right? There is nothing in between. If you go to ultra rich people, they have a lot of assets in that range, in that white space. And we are trying to unlock these assets, bring in for retail investors, educate them, figure out right regulatory mechanisms through which these products can be brought to retail investors, and build distribution around it, and bring more and more asset classes. I mean, that's very simple. So anything that is between FDs and equities, we want to bring on the platform.
Got it. Got it. So now, Ajinkya, you and I are friends, and I've been watching you for a few years now, right? And I've seen that you've transformed yourself from like sort of become a marketeer yourself, and you've built a very solid personal brand on LinkedIn, especially, right? And I see that that has a ripple effect on Wind for that matter, right? So while I've heard that you build your personal brand and you will see your business taking off, right? So how did this start for you? Like that's something that I want to deep dive into.
Yeah, I mean, for us, I mean, like the idea was never to build a personal brand as such. So when we started building Windwell, it like we knew like we were going to launch the product in 3 months because of some regulatory like timelines, etc. So we were wondering what to do in 3 months, and we started speaking to users, and we had a lot of hypotheses about the users. The users think this way, this way, this way. So we started, I started like writing on LinkedIn. Those were meant to basically understand users more. So it was not to create a brand on LinkedIn per se, but okay, I think the user is more likely to act in this way. And if I like, and these are the questions the user is facing. If I answer those questions, they will appreciate it. And this was a hypothesis, and we wanted to test. So this was to build GTM for us. Like, how do we go about building the GTM, right? And that's why we started writing. It started picking, we got the formula right. And then we kept at it, right? So, but idea was never to build a personal brand. Chalo aisa karte hai. So, our ideology was never कि personal brand करेंगे तो Wind को फायदा होगा. It sort of was a byproduct. I mean, a great byproduct. But the starting point was कि do I understand my users more? Like, can I understand them better? Can I help them
Right.
better? And
Right.
can I, whatever learning is there, I will eventually apply at Wind was the idea.
Got it. Got it. So let's start with a very basic and the first step in the whole process, right? Who do you thought was your user, right? And what, like, let's take one specific example, right? Like you thought this was your user, right? And you thought, let's see if this is the hypothesis that I have in mind, right? What's that hypothesis when you posted it and what was the result?
Sure. So our user, like in startup, we generally think of next magnitude. So when we didn't have any users, we are just thinking about how to get first 1,000 users. Then we'll start thinking about 10,000, 1 lakh, 10 lakh, 10 million etc. Right? So when we started LinkedIn, we didn't have 1,000 users. So that was the idea, how to get 1,000 users. And we defined that audience very niche. So that means somebody working in startups in 30% tax bracket, somebody works in software or growth team or ops team of a startup, right, based in Bangalore. Very simple, right? And idea was in this category there are 10-20,000, so we should be able to get 1,000 people. And there also we said we try to target large companies because investment product in India is social product, right? So we knew if we can crack somebody like if we address somebody at a small startup, their circle is limited, right? But if we address somebody at a large startup, like their propensity to bring other new users will be more, right? So that was the idea. So in that target we had about 10,000 people. We narrowed in that target and we started, like, that was the idea, like let's convert 1,000 of these users.
Wow. And what was the channel that you chose for this and why?
So we chose LinkedIn as a channel. Couple of reason is once like we were very income specific. We wanted people in 30% tax bracket plus working in startup. So all that data is available on LinkedIn. You could sort people actually out using. Plus we come from that we belong to that kind of TG, right? So we had mutual connections. We could expand on that TG. Another Twitter is a great channel, but you don't know how, like, by just looking at handle and that like whatever is description, you don't know whether that person is in your TG. So LinkedIn was a very clear winner there. So this is the target audience we want to build, right? And like initial first days, we used to send out connection requests till LinkedIn disabled the connection. So every day LinkedIn allows you to send 100. So
but did that happen for you?
Yeah, every day. No,
Wow.
they temporarily disable it for that day. So they allow you to send, I guess, 99 and they disable it. So I used to do, then I knew that people generally accept when they see a lot of mutual connections. So first we targeted a couple of like startups. We knew, okay, this startup mein 400-500 software engineer, right? So this is a good, to sort them. We have 10 first connection, then look at second connections and send request one by one till every day. And we generally saw that 30-40% accept, right? So that's how we created first 3,000 ka code, like just by sending request for every day. So my co-founder Abhik used to send 100 requests every day. I used to send 100 requests.
Wow.
Right? And whoever used to accept, we used to tell them, hey, this is our website. Why don't you visit? And if you have any questions, happy to get on a call.
Wow, that's super interesting. That's like a lot of manual labor work right there. And now tell me, how did you come to like that 30-40% number? मैं कैसे पता कि 30-40%, like did you have like a
ट्राई करके देखा, 100 लोगों को भेजा, 20-30 लोगों ने एक्सेप्ट किया, मतलब
wow,
ऐसा कोई ये, because we had to like we were like कोई पैसा नहीं था, like I strongly believe कि first 1,000 में तो पैसा खर्च करना ही नहीं चाहिए. So like this was the channel available to us, so it was free, so like it didn't hurt us to try.
Got it. And then let's say you sent that request to me, right? And let's say that I have accepted your request, right? And you were telling me that you're going to send me that message. Hey, this is my website. Check it out. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer, right? So what would happen then?
Very few would respond. Probably 10 in 1 would respond. But that was okay for us.
Okay. And like what next then? You've added your connections, right? You've sent out your messages, right? What
Yes.
next?
Yeah. So then we started thinking about content writing, etc. Then we had to choose platform. So we chose LinkedIn very, very carefully because again, TG is specific. On Twitter, there is a lot of people who give Gyan, right? So it is very difficult to stand out on Twitter to start with. There are so many
Right.
people in every.
Right.
If you look at now, it's been about 3 years since we started writing, right, on LinkedIn. So 3 years back on LinkedIn, there weren't any, like, there was a lot of shit posting going on. LinkedIn was bashed for that, right? All
Right.
self-proclaimed post, and nobody was writing serious content. But we could see that people are generally on LinkedIn, right? So there was clear white space in terms of personal finance. Nobody was writing for there weren't many finance writers itself on LinkedIn,
Right.
right? And plus we needed a TG to seed it, right? And content, the first creation of distribution is very difficult. What is good about LinkedIn is you send connection request to someone. As soon as they accept it, they become your follower, right?
Right.
So we created first 3,000 ka cohort the way we wanted. This is our TG. So we keep sending them requests. So 3,000 of them accept. So we know, okay, these are the guys who will anyway see my content because I'm their first connection. And if
Yeah.
they like it, their friends. So we had this
So yeah.
3,000 ka audience ready, right? And then we started writing, okay, what do these guys want actually? What can we write? Okay, we want to test this hypothesis. We want to test this hypothesis. And like that's how it started. Then like we
Yeah.
started asking questions to all those connections, saying, "Do you have any questions for us that we can write about?" And many of them were personal finance questions. Started writing, and then it started that wheel started rotating.
Wow. Okay, it's very interesting. So let's deep dive into the type of content and personal finance, right? So you're saying the first set of questions came in from your immediate connections, right? Who came up with, very small, simple personal finance questions, right? So how did you approach it? Did you hire a copywriter? Did you do it yourself? What was your content strategy? How often would you post? Any format
No
option?
copywriter, nothing. So I and Abhik used to do all the research, everything. So we used to basically like get questions. Then we used to. So what we quickly realized, I mean, people want actionable insights. So what is actionable insight? What is the quality of insight that I can bring? And whenever I find an interesting topic, and we used to actually, Abhik used to bet on how many likes this post will get. Because for us, this whole exercise was to understand user more. Like
Right,
sometimes we wrote a post, we knew this is not going to go like very going not going to be well accepted, but we wanted
right,
to test this, so we wrote it, right? So and I
right,
used to write, Abhik used to do research, Abhik used to critique, and sometimes I don't know, in early days it took us 10 to 12 hours to write one post, right? From research to framing it, then to cut it short, writing in that specific limit, making, and then we realize how LinkedIn algorithm works, right? So at that time, at least it used to prioritize post where the readability score was very high. So
okay,
on a Grammarly, if your readability score is more than 80, that means even a fifth grader can read your content. And LinkedIn used to promote, and we somehow accidentally got on it. So then once a piece is ready, it generally used to take me about 2 hours just to take that content from, let's say, a readability score of 60, 65 to 80. And then we used to push it.
right, right. So this is where you're talking like a pure marketer. So there's a saying, easy reading is damn hard writing, right? Easy reading does not come very easily. If you have to write a copy that's easily readable by someone, right? It takes a lot of effort, like you yourself said that you have to make many edits, right? So tell me more about how did you crack that? Like what made you, like what were the trials and errors that you did? What were the things that you figured on the way? Like this makes my
Yeah,
copy
so
better.
yeah, we used to use Grammarly, right? Even like not even a premium version, basic version. And I think we took like we didn't want to spend on at that time. Later we took Grammarly premium, but first we took a trial version, and that trial version we wrote so much that we could understand how it is read. So we realized certain words, like they basically target a six standard person, right? So what words he would know, what words he wouldn't know. And so if you omit those words, readability score will increase. So you have to figure out the words that fall in the vocabulary. So there is a vocabulary bracket. Second, length of sentence. If you cut that well, the readability score increases, right?
Wow.
Those were very basic two formulas that helped us: omitting words which actually lowers readability score, and keeping sentences short, and overall keep the content short. So you cut the fluff, keep cutting it, keep cutting it, keep cutting it.
Right. And I also see that in your posts, right, you kind of also focus on the visual element of your post. Is that like a coincidence, or is
No,
that
that is more recent phenomenon. Once we had a good team at Wintwell, and they've been doing a phenomenal job. But that is recent. Like at early days, there weren't any people, right? We hired we are four co-founders back then, four full-time and one part-time who recently joined, right? Back then, I mean, we didn't have anyone. Any teammate as such apart from co-founder. So we didn't have any designer, we didn't have any copywriter, we didn't have any researcher, anything. So all was done by us.
Got it. Got it. So okay, now your channel is in place. Now you figured out your content strategy, right? Now you have your first cohort of those 3,000 folks, right? Now what happens?
We kept writing. We started getting questions, we started writing. Right, and we used to predict. So we then segregated topic की personal finance में ये है, एक है tax related, एक होगा credit card related होगा, loan से related होगा, investing से related होगा, insurance से related होगा. And then we started a lot of times we started spending a lot of time in figuring out research, quality of research. And in fact, the first hire we made was someone who did financial research for us. So all his job was we realized there are personal finance में बहुत सारे group है. His first assignment was just scrap questions on all these platforms. So you have a question bucket of 500 questions. Then you figure out answers. You define what is a good quality insight that people would not know and would be surprised, and they would feel that it is great that they came across this piece and read it, so that they are more knowledgeable now, right? And then we like one of my co-founders, Shashu, he is a very wise investor, passive investor, right? So he would know a lot of stuff. So he used to figure out what he doesn't know. So that means that most of the people wouldn't know that. Is that interesting? Would that actually impact decision making? If that scores high, we used to promote that post and write that first, right? So we develop basically processes around it.
Right. So basically, you built yourself a little content marketing engine that would work for you, right? So now let's say, you've got your 3,000 people in place, right? So what was the impact on the number of followers that you had, and how did that impact your business at Wintwell? That's something that I want to dive into.
Yeah, I mean, business impact we really don't measure, because we think that if we start for us, it's a brand channel per se, credibility channel. We don't really want conversions from that channel. So we don't really, but often we see many users I came across your posts, followed you, they realize you're a co-founder of a startup, went there, landed on website, eventually invested, right? But that's not our focus. It's just that how much user delight are we able to create? Right, and that's the complete focus of the channel, and that has been the focus. It is not to per se use this as a conversion funnel for a Wintwell, for the Wintwell business.
Okay, got it. And then I do see these posts where you sort of inform that we have a new investment product, this is the timeline, and then I've seen posts where you said that, the product is oversubscribed or fully subscribed, right? So how did you figure out that okay, now this is the number of followers that I have, or maybe I know that this is the follower loyalty that I have today, right? And now is the time where I can talk about my business and my product.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really thought about it that much, to be frank. Like whatever we thought was genuine to do, we did it, right? But generally speaking, we realized, I mean, we were very conscious that this is not a promotion channel for Wintwell, right? So we wouldn't do too much post. What are basic announcements that I would do as a founder, I would do on LinkedIn, on Twitter. That only we would, right? We would not promote unnecessarily. We will not in fact, there are now, I generally don't even post about those assets from my, every asset we bring on the platform. I don't post because we are past that stage, right?
Yeah.
So and generally, like that content used to be very low because we wanted to keep it genuine. So we never wanted users to think that hey, they are trying to promote their business,
Right,
because that
right.
was
You
not
didn't want it
the.
to be salesy. So what I understand is, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, is that you wanted to build credibility for yourself and for your business, right? That was the main goal, right? And you did not want to come across as salesy, right? That's the second thing. And third, you want to give content that would create some sort of an epiphany, like, oh, wow, this is something that I didn't know,
Yes.
right?
Evoking emotion, some sort of emotion. That could be wonder, wow, I didn't know that, I should have known that, or oh great, like I should have. And generally it is I should have known it. And like sometimes it could be anger that I made a mistake, now I know. Sometimes good that I got to know before I took the decision. Sometimes it just like, wow, this also exists, right? So it is generally I should have known that, with some kind of emotion. It could be anger, it could be wonder, it could be happiness, it could be, oh bapre, this is scary. So could be
Wow.
like,
Using first principles and getting your first set of customers and getting that right. That is something that I see you doing really, really well, right? And that's what I love about this. I think I have all the answers that I needed today. This has been brilliant. Thank you, Ajinkya.
great, great. Thank you, Filoni, for having me. Been a pleasure. And let's
Yeah,
catch up in person soon.
for sure. Do you have any thoughts in mind? How do you want to take
यार
it?
मुझे वो नवल का रेफरेंस बहुत ज्यादा लगा, मतलब इन रियलिटी आई एम नोवेयर क्लोज टू दैट, वो बहुत ज्यादा ऐसा हाइप जैसा लगा. बाकी ठीक थे, बाकी क्वेश्चंस वी कैन डिस्कस, बट लाइक जो है वो है, नहीं है फालतू का बहुत ज्यादा ये नहीं करना.
तो तुम बोल देना, मुझे जो लगता है मैं बोलूंगी.
ठीक है,
बोला.
ठीक है.